Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Like tonight's film, 1981's MAI LIN vs Serena. This is part of Vinegar Syndrome's Peakorama Big 2-unit show where they do double features on one disc, straight from the camera negatives. This one is with Oriental Hawaii, but what we are looking at tonight is MAI LIN vs Serena from 1981. This is a 79-minute film directed by Carlos Tobalina. And Carlos Tobalina, very prolific X-rated and sexploitation director. I've reviewed other films on this YouTube page from him already, like Three Ripening Cherries and Love Champions and In for Sexum, all available from Vinegar Syndrome. I purchased this one just about a month ago from Vinegar Syndrome, directly from them, but you can find it from other sites as well. I got it from them. I think there was a sale or something. But MAI LIN vs Serena 1981. Now, obviously, MAI LIN and Serena, two very big X-rated actresses of this time. And we have them both playing the leads in this film. Now, the interesting thing is that this is a film about MAI LIN and Serena trying to get the lead in Carlos Tobalina's next film. And basically what they want to do is they want to prove themselves to the director, to Carlos, that they should win his next lead role. And this film is then proving to the director that they should be getting this lead role. And so we're watching 79 minutes of Serena and MAI LIN proving to Carlos that they should be getting this. Now, there's a twist at the end that really further breaks the fourth wall of this film, because the fourth wall is shattered from the get-go of this film. The fourth wall kind of movie within a movie within a movie. As they're playing themselves, they're playing X-rated big actresses, MAI LIN and Serena, and there's a bit of a twist that further kind of breaks that wall and redefines what you've just watched for the past 79 minutes, possibly. So let's get into MAI LIN vs Serena. You know, this is truly a wild sex adventure. This is a wild sex adventure where the sex is the substance, where the style is the substance. And man, what sex, and man, what style MAI LIN vs Serena has. Let's get into this movie. First and foremost, I want to talk about the music in this film. This is wall-to-wall music, and just unbelievable music. I mean, turn your volume up as long as your neighbors or other people you're living with are out of the house, because there's a lot of moaning in here obviously as well. But turn your volume up. Unbelievable music. What do we have here? We have exotic pop. We have synths that sound like Rick Wakeman from the Burning soundtrack. We have tons of saxophones, weird electronic sounds and pulsations, tons of high energy music in this film, high energy disco, jazz, funk with jamming and slight tones of psychedelic jamming in there. It's all high energy, it's all pumping, it's all pulsating, and being a film in being a film of 1981, you find a lot of the time that you're coming out of the 70s, that you're entering into the 80s, and so you have lots of flourishes of those two decades kind of erupting in here, and you got such great funk music in here, such great fusions of funk and jazz and disco and electronica and synth, experimental, and as I said, with flourishes of psychedelica. And I got to tell you that this is wall-to-wall music in this film, because this film is sex. This is wall-to-wall sex in this film, and the music is just pulsating as the sex is pulsating, and the music is adventure as the sex is adventure, and as this movie is a wild, free sexual adventure. The music reflects that pulse. Now, in terms of the style and cinematography and what this movie is genre-wise and locations, this is a film of locations. This is a film of sexual adventure. This is a film of the people of those particular locations. I mean, we go, we go to a restaurant, we go to a lesbian bar, we go to, a jail cell, two jail cells, and then we wind up in someone's home with a pink bathtub. Those are the locations of this film. And something that I find really, really interesting about Carlos's style that I'm seeing more and more is that he likes to do like these shots outside of where he's supposed to be filming. Like you'll see this shot of a house and then you're inside of someplace. And he'll do that a lot. And he likes to do a lot of interesting fades, out of focus, move the camera, focus on a plant, and then go to the next scene, or just keep going on the outside of this house, and then you'll be back in there, with cars parked in the front, or something like that. So he'll do that, but in this film, he does that depending on the location. So predominantly you'll see it at the last location in this film. Now, there's some slow motion in here that, with the pulsating jazz, funk, core, fusion music, is just dangerously wild feeling. And the slow-mo is happening with not all, but certain ejaculation sequences in the film, predominantly in the restaurant sequence, from what I'm recalling, but it's just wild. It's crazy. And Carlos is really, he has a couple really, really close, crazy angles in this film. I mean, X-rated cinema is known to be close. It's known to be very close because close equals explicit. It's known to be very, very close. But the way he's shooting the close, it's unique. It's very hot. It's very sexy. It's like the definition of explicitly hot, if you catch my drift. And it has just some unique qualities to it. And he's not embarrassed of getting really close shots of penises as well, erect penises. And so you're definitely seeing that. Now this film is crazy. Now, I will say this too, with the sound design, it's interesting. I feel like I believe that he might have been looping some lines of dialogue in certain scenes, because you'll hear something happen again, but the people aren't really talking, or you don't see their mouths moving. So I think he was looping some of the dialogue a couple times, maybe over a sex scene, because maybe there wasn't enough talking, but there is some wild talking in this film. And I have to tell you, now, MAI LIN being Asian and Serena not being, she's blonde or kind of strawberry blonde. There is some wild, just crazy politically incorrect stuff in here that, only could have been made in 1981, and it just adds to the beauty of the film. But there's some crazy dialogue involving Asians and, coordinated, kind of with sex with Asians. There's some crazy dialogue that I don't want to give away, but there's also some crazy dialogue involving homosexuals in the film as well. So there's some wild stuff in here. And now, since I said this is a movie of locations, MAI LIN and Serena are basically challenging each other in each one of these locations to see how wild they can get and one up the next girl. And what happens is that they are the fire, they are the flame, they are the impetus to, but there's no impotence, if you understand what I'm saying. They are the impetus to catapult each location that they are in into a massive breakout of sexuality and sexual freedom, and namely orgies. And so what happens in this film is manic. It's wild. It's crazy. The restaurant scene, people switching, the cook coming out, the waitress, people eating at the restaurant, the lesbian bar where there's two girls at the counter, and these two girls I thought were really sexually attractive, and they looked very just like they pulled them off the street or something. Like, it looked legit. It looked like they were actually in a bar with these two girls there that just happened to be that they were going to pull into their into their sexual insanity or whatever. And they really looked legit. I think one of the girls' names is Jade Wong or something. I saw in the credits, but they totally looked legit, and it was wild. It was just as they kind of pulled them in, and then a couple guys who are common in the X-rated world kind of enter the bar, and there's humor in this film as well. Carlos tends to inject some kind of funny, almost slapsticky humor that'll make you laugh out loud. There's a piece of humor involving ejaculation in this film. That's all I'm going to say, in the jail cell. But there's just pieces of humor, even in the dialogue and things like that, that you can kind of sense in being in an X-rated world that Carlos is making here, that he's also having fun with it and having fun with the X-rated tropes of being in this world. Now, it is... this is wall-to-wall sex in here, just like it's wall-to-wall music, and the sex is the show, is the substance, is the style, and all the different positions, all the different locations, banging your head into the bar Coors beer sign, the beer sign swinging, people laughing, switching positions, craziness, two prison guards getting fired, switching positions with girls in the cells. I mean, it's insane, and the finale of the film is totally... I've never seen anything like it, I gotta be honest with you. It just involves a bathtub and, let's just say, girls showering in ejaculate and cum, and not instead of water. I mean, it's what a crazy, out of control, maddening finale. And then the still frame of the closing credits is also really interesting to pick. Which shows that Carlos Tobalina really wasn't shying away from maybe what maybe the average director would have shied away from with this movie or in this scenario. I found the sex scene to be very hot and wild and well done and crazy. Serena has a different style than MAI LIN, but they both complement each other. And MAI LIN, if you know her from other films like Babyface, and tons of others, she has her body, her face. Serena has her body, her hair. They both have like different sexual styles, and as part of their characters in this film, they are just basically pulling their environment in around them, as they are the queens and the gods of their environment, bringing everyone into this sexual fervor and fury. You know that you're into something here when the two lesbian girls at the bar that they pull in recognize them as the X-rated stars Serena and MAI LIN, and things are very, very hot. The bar scene is actually my favorite scene, but this film is, I thought it was unbelievably hot sex film, and unbelievable wild sexual adventure. Here it is, MAI LIN vs. Serena, 1981, 79 minutes of locations. Thank you so much for watching the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page, where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more, like MAI LIN vs. Serena from 1981. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great night.